Welcome to today's webinar, which is focused on how to use the Learning Network for remote learning. As schools have closed around the world, we see teachers and parents stepping up and working really hard to navigate online learning, homeschooling, and supporting their loved ones during these uncertain times. And we really hope that this webinar will add to your toolbox as you tackle remote learning and homeschooling if you're a parent with your student or your children. So today, let's walk through what we're going to go through. Today's agenda includes an introduction to the Learning Network. We are also going to walk you through how to use our writing prompts and multimedia resources, followed by tutorials on creating a New York Times account and commenting on our site. Then we will allow ample time at the end of the webinar to answer any questions you have. Feel free to submit your questions through the Q&A box at any time. Great. Next, I will hand things off to my colleague Ross to get us started.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Hi, everybody. I'm Ross Flatt, one of the professional development managers at the Learning Network. So before you learn how to access and use the features of the Learning Network, we wanted to give you a quick introduction of exactly who we are and what resources we have to offer. So in 1998, a survey of loyal Times readers was asked, how did you first start reading the Times? And the first most popular answer was, my parents read it. But the second most popular answer was, my teacher gave it to me. And that answer inspired the creation of the Learning Network, which has been operating out of the New York Times newsroom for over 20 years. So it was created in 1998, and we have used Times content from articles to essays, photos to videos, and graphics in imaginative ways to reach middle and high school students. We're a team of former teachers and school leaders, and we are responsive to the changing needs of educators. And to put it another way, our mission is to help people teach and learn with the New York Times. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're not only going to show you how we fulfill that mission, but some resources that you can use to fulfill that mission. So we fulfill this mission in many ways. The first is that we connect classrooms to the world. We do this through our daily lessons, quizzes, and other features that focus on the news of the day. Also, we give students a voice and strengthen literacy skills along the way through things like our student writing prompts and our student contests. Finally, we promote critical and creative thinking through multimedia using New York Times videos, graphs, and of course, the New York Times photos. Now, for those of you who are totally new to our site, it's important to know a few things about the Learning Network. So first, it's free for all schools. This is true for all schools across the world. Next, students 13 and up are allowed to interact on the site and comment on our pieces. We'll tell you a little bit more about that later today. Also, the Learning Network is focused on elevating student voice. It's more than a place for students to just come in and learn about the world. It's a place for them to share their ideas, their opinions, and creativity about the world. And finally, it's a place for students and teachers to engage with the issues of the day. Now, if you've logged into our site at newyorktimes.com/learning lately, you've probably seen pieces about the biggest hard news stories of the day, like coronavirus or the 2020 election. But it's really important to know that we only do so much of that. We're a site for all kinds of students, and our pieces reflect that. So just this month, we asked students to discuss all kinds of stories, such as Tom Brady leaving the Patriots, what songs matter to them now, what kind of mascot they choose to represent their school, and whether or not a preschool should be free for everyone. So as you can see, the Learning Network has a very wide reach, and there is a lot to do on this site. We have over 100,000 student comments and contest entries around the world every single year. Every week, we come out with 25 new teaching resources. We have 1,000 teaching resources per school year. This year alone, we had 10 student contests, and we also have a 7-unit writing curriculum, something we'll tell you a little bit more about later. But this writing curriculum has lessons on argumentative writing, narrative writing, reviews. So there is a lot to do and use and see here, whether you're a teacher, a student, or a parent looking to teach their kids at home. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand things off to Catherine Schulten, editor of the Learning Network, who's going to tell us about our writing prompt activities. Catherine?
Hello, guys. Here I am in my kitchen, and I realize you can see my pot, so, you know, it's pretty real here. I'm so glad, and I'm the one that's been monitoring our little chat here, so it's so nice to know that a lot of you guys already know what we do and have some familiarity with it. I will say this webinar is really, really focused on the thing that we do that we think is the most important, which is finding ways to elevate student voice. Sort of low stakes, easy ways, and higher stakes ways as well. So first, we're going to take a deep dive into our writing prompts and how they work. And we're actually going to go live to our site to show you this. Again, though, you're going to have every one of these links. So you can just follow along with what I'm saying, and then later you can be able to click. So in order to show you guys how to navigate, I'm going to always return to our homepage. This is our homepage today. It changes every day. You recognize this fairly famous graph that we're talking about right now, but we'll get to that later on in the webinar. I'm going to show you that you just scroll down, and Rachel's the one managing this, so she'll be scrolling while I'm talking. As you go down, you can always find our writing prompts in the exact same place every single day, and it's this big orange tab here. You simply click on that, and you open it up, and we have 2 new writing prompts every day, and we've had at least 1 new writing prompt every day, every school day, since 2009. So we literally have thousands of these things, and many hundreds of them are still open to comment on our site, and anyone 13 and up is welcome to respond. I'm going to talk to you about the 2 of them, and so you're going to click up at the top. Well, you won't click now, but later you'll click to student opinion questions. That's the one we've been asking since 2009, every single day. Each one is based on something in the Times that day or week, and each of them links to a Times article, which is thereby free to your students if they're coming from our site. So you can see right now, it's pretty coronavirus focused. Even when it's not, it is. What songs matter to you now? It has taken on a whole new cast since everybody's stuck at home. What role does poetry play in your life? It's about to be National Poetry Month, and we could all use a little poetic solace, I think. But you can see we ask a question every single day, and Rachel's going to scroll a little bit more. You can take a look at the variety as we go, and we're going to actually pause on one, and you're going to use the chat box to pretend you are a student and answer one of the questions real quick. And that question is coming right up. Oh boy, Rachel, it's a lot of show more, sorry. Fairly far down. Okay, here we go. If you wouldn't click yet, is childhood today over-supervised? The reason we picked this is because when we know this, because we've been asking these questions for so many years now, if we ask kids anything that asks them to tell teachers or parents how they should do their jobs better, kids swarm. They cannot wait to tell us how they would do it better. So we got something like 250 responses to this. What would you say? You don't have to answer as if you're a kid. You can answer for yourself. Just go ahead and type in your answer into the chat box, and I'm going to try and quickly read it. So is childhood today over-supervised? Or a popular children's book author says our children need to be more wild and free. Do you agree? Okay, I'm getting a lot of yeses, but 1 no. I got a yes, concur. Ooh, undersupervised. Okay. Oh, wow, now it's going way too fast for me. Okay. Whew, Rachel, I think we can go ahead and click on in. It seemed like most of you are saying, are giving somewhat of a nuanced answer. Many of you say, yes, it's over-supervised, but many of you have good reasons that you want to talk about. And we'll get to that because students do too. I want to show you how these things are created because they look the same every day, and there's a reason for that. We want kids to be able to come on and have a predictable, structured question. So even though the topic changes and sometimes the accompanying timepiece that they're reading is a little bit sophisticated, they know that the questions will look the same. So Rachel, if you scroll down a little, you'll see we ask one big question, and then we break that question down a little bit, what teachers sometimes call scaffolding. So we ask them a series of other questions. what was your childhood like? Were adults always nearby? Were they supervising your every move? Then we always quote from the Times article itself, and we always provide a link back in. Kids can go out and read the full article, and we hope they do, but we also know that some kids just answer without reading the whole thing. That's fine too. They read the piece, and then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see we even have more follow-up questions. So many kids don't answer all of them. They answer the ones that work for them. That's fine. We just want people to come on, use our prompts as kind of a writing rehearsal space, a place to have fun, a place to get their voice out, talk to other kids, state an opinion, and however they answer is fine. Now, I'm going to show you where you go to comment and where you would find comments, and that's all the way back up at the top. And again, all of these are structured the same way every time. So right here, underneath the headline in the picture, if you could scroll down a little, you'll see like a conversation bubble there. It says 263, I believe. That's the number of comments we received on this. Oh, and there's been new ones since I looked at this earlier today. So you can see this is several weeks old, and students today are still commenting on it. So we've got Olivia B. from NYC. The last comment I saw today was a very thoughtful girl from California who said, yes, I think most people my age, here it is, Sarah S. In my opinion, I think, oh guys, you see the limits of my eyes here. In my opinion, I think every child thinks that their parents are too overprotective, but when we grow up, we realize they weren't. So kids come on, they come on from all over the world. You scrolled all the way down in this, and Rachel, you don't have to, but you'll see kids from Saigon, from China, from England, from Australia. They're on from all over the world, and they often respond to each other. So again, we ask one of these every single day. We have thousands and thousands of them. There's bound to be something that will interest your students if they're on. I'm going to show you how to find a different kind of writing prompt, one that's slightly easier if you'd like to use that instead. And again, if you go to the upper left-hand corner on any of our pages, you'll see the words, The Learning Network. If you click on that, you're always going to get back to our homepage, and I will show you how to navigate. Here you go. Remember this page? We're back again. So if you go back down and you go to that orange square yet again, and you click in, we also do something every day called picture prompt. And we started that maybe 3-4 years ago because we realized there are lots and lots of students out there, many of whom, for whom English is not their first language, for instance, for whom the Times is a pretty difficult read. At the same time, the New York Times publishes endless great illustrations, photos, graphics, GIFs. And we thought, we're leaving out half the fun stuff in the Times by not having something that features pictures more prominently. So we started this, and we'll scroll down in this as well. You can see the different things. Yes, right now it's very much about being trapped inside, and we can't help it. That's all of our reality. But again, about Tom Brady, etc. And if you keep scrolling, you'll see we ask all kinds of things, and we'll go into one. We're going to look at mall rats because it's a GIF and it's fun. And as I always say when I'm at this one, it seems like it's from such an innocent time now when we were really talking about going to the mall. Now none of us can go to the mall. But okay, I want to show you how it's structured before I show you what students do. So you'll see that it's very easy for almost any kind of kid. Again, we'll talk about this later, but 13 and up are welcome to comment on our site. But you'll see that even if you come without a lot of English, this could work for you. So Rachel, if you scroll down a little, you'll see that it's only a few paragraphs, and we try to write it in a very simple way. Again, it's always related to an article in the New York Times, but we ask kids, how often do you go to the mall? What places do you visit when you get there? How do you feel about it? Are malls still relevant in a digital age? Sometimes these questions are very light. Other days we ask heavier things. This is a lighter one. And so far, if I think I can read this, I think it's about 50 people have commented on this. And Rachel, if you click, what I want to show you is when kids respond to other kids, which is our favorite thing. Every week, we're not going to have time to talk about this, but every week we round up our favorite comments and call kids out by name. They have a much higher chance of getting recognized by us if they go to the trouble of responding to other students. So here we have a kid from Wilmington, North Carolina named Lily, who's writing her feelings about the mall. And then we have, you can click reply, and a girl from this one's also, well, this is probably a classmate. That sometimes happens, but often it's across schools. You can see Laura responded, or here's one from just below it. Lord, I can't read that. Illinois, maybe? I have on my reading glasses, as you can see, and yet. And then there's a kid, that kid Lily responds to Mark. So that's great for students, obviously, to have posted a comment and then have somebody come on and, you know, engage with it in some way. So those are just two ways where anyone can go onto our site every day and find something engaging to do. As we'll talk about a little more coming up, we're not looking for perfect English here. We're not looking for perfect grammar. If you make an argument, we're not saying, oh, where's your thesis sentence? You know, where's your evidence? This is a very informal writing opportunity, but it's a chance to practice what I know teachers think of as authentic writing. You're writing to a real audience. Kids all over the world see it. And we New York Times editors read every one of these before we post them. So you're reaching a huge audience beyond the teacher when you do this. So I'm going to navigate you back to our homepage, which I hope you now remember. You simply go up to the upper left-hand side, and I'm going to introduce you to Michael Goncher, who's going to take over.
Hi, thank you, Catherine. So my name is Michael Goncher, and I'm the editor of the New York Times Learning Network. And even before I speak about the main feature I want to talk about today, what's going on in this picture, I do want to point out the graph that's at the top of our homepage. We had a discussion today about that graph that I'm sure so many of you recognize, the flattening the curve graph. We had a moderated discussion with teachers from the American Statistical Association, and the last time I checked earlier this afternoon, we had about 700 comments already about that graph. So I want to point out that feature, but what I really want to talk about today is our other related feature, what's going on in this picture. So like picture prompt, it uses an image from the Times. In this case, we're using a photograph from the Times. So if you could scroll down and we could see how to navigate to actually all of our multimedia related features. There's that yellow icon on our homepage. It has a camera on it. And if you click on that, we have 3 features. It's a collection of 3 features there. Our Film Club, which uses short films from the time. What's going on in this graph, which I just mentioned. It uses a graph from the Times. And what's going on in this picture. And all 3 of them are open to comments, but you can also comment in something like Google Classroom or another learning management system that your school might use. If you can now go ahead and click on what's going on in this picture. And I want to point out that we choose an intriguing photograph from the Times. We've been doing this since 2012, and all of these photographs, we stripped the captions so students they're going to have to look closely and figure out what's actually going on in the photograph. We have hundreds of these photos, and if you can scroll down, there's the photo that we used for this week up top. And if we keep on scrolling down, you can just get a sense of these intriguing images that we've been collecting now, and we really have an archive of hundreds of them. And you can use any of them. The most recent ones are all open for comment for the past year or two. And if you scroll down to just there, yeah, December 2nd, there we can see what's going on in this picture. And what I'd like all of us to do is to take a close look at that photograph. Use the chat box, and I'd like all of you to respond, just like we'd ask students to do. What do you see going on in this picture? And what are the details that you see that support your interpretation of this photograph? So if everybody could write in there. So we see lots of people talking about prisoners, diving, circus performers, a high dive, maybe it's from the 1920s, acrobatics, looks like skydiving activity or group dive. So something else I want to point out is I just saw that a number of teachers said, I use this activity with students, or fun. So thank you for all entering, and you're all typing very quickly. When we ask students to make their own observations, we really ask them to type more than just a circus or acrobats or high dive. We really want them to support their interpretations with details and evidence. So if we could scroll down, I want to point out the 3 questions that we ask week after week. What is going on in this picture? What do you see that makes you say that? And what more can you find? We do this activity in partnership with an organization called Visual Thinking Strategies. And these are the 3 questions that they use in their own moderation at art museums and in classrooms across the country. We find that these very simple, open-ended questions really get students to look closely. They're not searching for just the right answer. It's really about supporting their claims with evidence. that they see in the photograph. And since I use that word claim and evidence, I'll just make a point that we know that English teachers use this, for example, when they're reading Shakespeare, to practice supporting claims with evidence. We've heard from science teachers who use this. And if I can also point out that we know that elementary schools use this. And some people have asked, so I'll mention it now. If you're a second grade classroom using this feature, you can't have your 7-year-old's comment in the comment box. They're too young, but the teacher will say, Mrs. Pernikoff's second grade classroom notices such and such. So we definitely see a wide range of age groups using this feature. If you could click on that, I can't see the number perfectly. I think it's over 1,000 or over 1,100. That means that's how many comments we had on this image. And we really have typically in the several hundreds, sometimes in the thousands of comments each week on our site. And we know that there's thousands of more students and so many classrooms doing this in Google Classroom or in Schoology or wherever they're doing it, or just using the whiteboard in the classroom. But this is a perfect activity for students to do from home. I've had my own 14-year-old son try it out, and he enjoyed it when other students from across the country responded to him. It's exciting. So if you can scroll down, we can see students from Missouri, from North Carolina, sometimes they put the name of their school comment or the name of their teacher, or they just use initials for their school. We have students from Arkansas commenting there. There's another North Carolina student. And what I want to show is that not only do we have students responding to one another, but we actually have moderators from visual thinking, right there. So we actually have moderators from visual thinking strategies responding to students. And what they do is they push students to think more deeply about their analysis. So I'm just going to look, and it says, this is a class from Western Australia. It shows how global this activity is. Our class thinks that these people are stunt doubles who are practicing jumps into a pool or on a trampoline. And then our professional moderator, who's based in Los Angeles, and we have a team of moderators from around the country who do this, responds back, sounds like you are considering the profession of these people and how they might play into their actions. Let's hear more from you. What did you see that made you say that they could be stunt doubles, that there could be either a pool or a trampoline below? Remember to provide visual evidence to back up your claims. So I'll point out for all of, we loved the comments that you made in the chat box because we were typing quickly. We're having a very fast conversation, but our VTS moderators would likely have told you, tell us more. Why do you think it was a circus? Why do you think there was a trampoline? And we've noticed that students' comments over time, we've done our own internal informal study. We followed the same student over the course of a year and have noticed that they start picking up language from the moderators, start using more sophisticated language, and have a more substantial analysis because they respond to the moderators and they actually respond to other students in the comment forum. And we actually have some students who have been doing this for so many years that they themselves become sort of informal moderators, asking students to find more details for their analysis. So the feature goes on a weekly cycle. And the way it works is that on Sunday nights, we post a new image. And on Mondays, during the school day, we have live moderation from Visual Thinking Strategies. And then we let students comment all week, and that's why we see that there's hundreds or sometimes thousands of comments. And then at the end of the week, on Thursday afternoons, what we do is we post a reveal. We present what the original article was, what the original caption was, sometimes additional information related to the article or to the topic. And so it's really an interactive and exciting feature. So with that, let me hand it back to you, Rachel, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that people have about this feature in the Q&A.
Great, thanks, Michael. Before I show you a brief tutorial on setting up your free New York Times account, there's a couple of things I do want to share. So we are going to talk briefly about creating an account. And I want to share first that all of the resources on the Learning Network are free for educators and students to access and utilize any of the resources. You do not need to have an account in order to access any of the resources and features on our website. What you do need an account for is to participate in any of our online forums and commenting, as Michael just showed you, as well as Catherine in the student opinion, writing prompts, what's going on in this picture, all of it. So you do need an account if you or your student would like to be able to comment on any of our features. This will be especially useful during remote learning, as students are able to independently comment on our site and engage in dialogue with students from around the world. It's also important to note that only students 13 and up in the US and the UK, as well as 16 and up everywhere else around the world, can sign up for an account and comment on our site. Any students that are under 18 should have a parent or legal guardian supervising their account setup, so that there's a button where you'll see in this video that you have to click agreeing to the terms and agreement. So we invite parents or legal guardians to supervise that piece of it for anybody who is under 18. But again, any students ages 13 or up are able to comment on our site. Okay, let's show you how to set up an account. You can do this from the Learning Network homepage or from any other New York Times page. We're going to watch a brief video on how to create an account. This video was created with students in mind, and it's actually narrated by a high school student. We will share this link out with everyone following the webinar if you would like to share it and pass it on with your students to help them create their own accounts. All right, let's watch this quick tutorial. If you want to, following the tutorial, you're welcome to minimize your Zoom screen and open up the Learning Network website and set up your account right now. If not, that's totally fine. You can just watch this and set it up at a later time.
Hello, young people. My name is Ben, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can make your 100% free account for the New York Times so that you can comment on the New York Times Learning Network. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is jump over that banner ad and click on the button that says Log In. After you do that, since you don't already have an account, you're going to have to click on the button that says Create One. Then, just enter your email information and simply click on the button that says Create Account, and you'll have your very own New York Times account. Pro tip, remember to uncheck the box under Password. All you gotta do is evade the subscription request and you're almost there. Now just pick your newsletters, and if you don't want the app, simply move on and you're ready to comment. To do this, just pick your prompt and you're good to go. Please take your 100% free New York Times account and use it wisely.
All right, so that was just a quick tutorial on how your students can set up their own account. It's pretty simple and easy to do. As I said, you can do it from our Learning Network homepage as well as any other New York Times page. And my colleague Ross has put a direct link to this YouTube video into the chat if you want to view it again for yourself or to share it with any of your students. All right, so up next, now that you have set up your account or your students have set up their accounts, we are going to show you how you can comment on any of our features. So I will hand things over to my colleague Ross.
And thank you, Rachel. Okay, everybody. So this is Ross again. And now that you know how to access the Learning Network, I'd like to show you how to use the most interactive feature on our site, and that's the comments section. So first, I wanted to say a couple things about commenting on an article. This is how the comment section works. Students can comment via desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You do have to be 13 years or older to comment. Comments are moderated before they are published. A human being actually reads it. We have the same moderation standards as the New York Times. So for example, no abusive language. We keep things very civil on the Learning Network, and we really look to only have students posting on our comment section. And finally, it's a safe place to practice writing and idea sharing. And what I mean by safe is we look for low stakes writing. So for example, we're not monitoring for capitalization, punctuation, word count, any of that stuff. We just want students to be able to share ideas. So let's take a look at how we actually do this. So we're going to share our screen, and we're going to go to one of our more recent articles where we have a prompt that we created just for this webinar. So if we click on the webinar under professional development, quick tips on using our most popular features. And we scroll down a little bit. I'm going to show you a few things. So first, Catherine pointed this out in her part of the presentation, but if you're looking to comment, the way to find it is you'll see the little speech bubble right below the top image. And this speech bubble has 143 in it, which means that 143 people have already commented on this. And what I'm going to ask you to comment on, and again, you can do this right on the New York Times website if you'd like, is this question. What has been helpful to you over the last several days and weeks in thinking about how to teach and learn from home? So again, what has been helpful to you over the last several days and weeks in thinking about how to teach and learn from home? So as you're thinking about that, I invite you to click on the speech bubble. And these 143 comments were actually participants from other webinars we did on this exact same topic last week. So you'll be able to join a community of people who've already given this a shot. So if I was to share my thoughts, I would type in share my thoughts or share your thoughts. And you'll notice that because Rachel is sharing this on her computer, you can see her name and her photo, but it's very easy to edit this. So if you have students logging into the same account or something like that, they can actually customize their own name just for the feature of this prompt. Or if you want to have a student post anonymously or not put their location, all of that is fine. You'll also notice at the bottom there's a box that says email me when my comment is published. Few people in the Q&A asked, will students know if their comment is published? Well, that's how they would find out. And many teachers ask students to click that box so that an email will go directly to the teacher or to the student, and then the student can send it along. And that's one way that teachers really keep track of students posting comments, and they can use that for things like, assessment or a homework assignment or something like that. So my comment is going to be, it has been helpful to use Zoom. I'm going to keep it short and simple for this webinar. And I'm going to click submit. And let's see if we had any others come in. So we're just going to refresh the page or just refresh the comment section. And we've had a few people comment. So Rama is thinking about how students can enjoy learning, and he designs lessons with that in mind. Kim said that she enjoys reading about what other English teachers are doing. I like to sit and watch before jumping in. And we have a few other comments there as well. So again, this is by far one of the best ways to be interactive, not only on the New York Times, but on the New York Times Learning Network. It is a wonderful place for students to have a conversation, not only with their classmates, but with other students from around the world.
To wrap things up today, I do want to share a few additional resources and announcements with everyone. So first off, as you could see on our homepage, we have been really working hard to curate and share a balance of coronavirus resources as well as additional news articles and resources for you and your students. I wanted to highlight the coronavirus resources that we do currently have. We have a great article on the coronavirus resources. You can see the image on the top right there is the image that's in the article. We've also curated a list of resources that are directly for students. So if you're interested in having your students complete coronavirus related activities, you can go there. These will help you and your students stay up to date on the outbreak, think critically about information they're receiving from the news, consider any essential questions about the pandemic and what it tells us about our world today and everything that's going on. And we also keep that updated with ideas and resources for teaching and learning when schools are closed. And just a quick note, a lot of people have been asking about links to resources and all of this information. We will be following this webinar up with a resource list that has links to everything we're talking about today. I also want to quickly share our editorial contest. We have extended the deadline for this in light of everything that's happening, and the new deadline is April 21st. So in this contest, students are able to choose a topic they care about, gather evidence from sources within and outside the New York Times, and then write an editorial to convince readers of their viewpoints and their argument. And to go along with that, we have had an ongoing writing unit for argument writing, and we have adapted that unit to be student-facing so that students can use this argument writing unit during remote learning. Students will complete self-guided activities to help them practice making claims and supporting those claims with evidence. So you can see here all of the argument writing prompts and activities that students may complete during this writing unit. And then lastly, I want to share some of our upcoming webinars. And so we received feedback from our webinars last week that educators are interested in gaining more PD content opportunities. And so we have scheduled 2 additional webinars beyond today's. One is April 1st on picture prompts, and the other is April 8th on teaching argumentative writing with the Learning Network. So if that contest or that writing unit interests you, you'll want to attend one of those. All right, and then just to wrap things up, I want to encourage all of you, as Michael mentioned, to sign up for our weekly emails. This is the best way to get updated information on upcoming webinars, on new resources, etc. So you want to do that on our homepage. Scroll down to the bottom right and you find a box that says sign up for weekly emails. And it's really easy for you to sign up. We typically send those out once a week at the end of the week, sometimes more often for special opportunities. So with that, I want to sincerely thank all of you for being here today, whether you are an educator, a parent, administrator, somebody trying to support all of those people during very uncertain and chaotic times. We have been more than impressed with all of the educators and teachers that are stepping up each day to provide their students and children with engaging learning experiences in very disruptive environments. And so we hope that what you learned today will be another tool that you can add to your toolbox in supporting young people during this time.